To add new devices into OmniCenter, there's basically three ways to do it. I can auto-discover devices, import devices, or add them manually. Manually is the simplest way. If I put in an IP address, OmniCenter is going to try to discover that device using all of the credentials it knows about from your templates. So if you have a template set up with your SNMP strings on it, all I might need is the IP address here. That template will give us the settings we need to go unlock that device and discover everything about it. If I click manual add, I can specify all the parameters about that device. So this gives me a way to go in and kind of manually override any automatic settings that OmniCenter might have discovered. Or if I know I don't have the right credentials in for this type of device, I can add it in manually here with the exact credentials that I want, and it'll take effect immediately. I don't have to wait for that discovery process. It'll just go ahead and do it. Now, you'll see on a lot of these pages, there's a link to auto configuration rules. And auto configuration rules are a thing that allow you in OmniCenter to automatically define sites and categories and other kinds of parameters about a device, like strategic groups, for example. So I can say any server that comes in that has the word SQL in the name, I want to make sure it gets added to the SQL servers group. I would do that with an auto configuration rule. And if you're manually adding it, turning this on will basically take all the settings that you have, apply them to the device, and then run the device through that rule set. That may change the site or category that you've set. So if you're doing it manually, it defaults to off. But everything that's added automatically or through the quick add will run through all of those configuration rules. The second way is via import. So I can import a list of devices, and there's a breakdown here of what the file format looks like, or I can download a sample configuration file. Or even if I have the permissions, I can download the current list of devices in OmniCenter, make changes to it, and re-upload those to the device to auto reconfigure stuff that I put in the spreadsheet. You can also apply the configuration rules to imported devices if you want to. So if you have a big list of devices, all you really need is the name and the IP, but if you've also got community strings and other things in there, I can import them, and then I can have it run through the configuration rules to kind of automate as much of the configuration as possible. Now, the third method is auto discovery, and OmniCenter by default is going to be running auto discovery on all of the different subnets that it can find. So this enable subnet scanning will tell it to go ahead and start doing auto discovery, and you can control the schedule here of when it is valid to run auto discovery on your network. So if you want to limit it to non-working hours or weekends, you can easily do that just by changing the schedule and hitting the edit button here to reconfigure it. If enable subnet scanning is turned on this page, any one of these subnets in this list are going to be scanned. So if it says enabled, it will attempt to scan this subnet for new devices. If you disable it, which you can easily do, you can go and edit and disable that subnet so that it can't automatically be scanned. So if you have subnets that are sensitive to scanning or that don't contain new devices and you know that they're secure, you can turn auto discovery off for those and it won't bother scanning them. If you have scanning turned on, it will attempt to scan those. And if you have a big network in here, that can take a long time. So just be aware of that. If I want to add new subnets to scan, I can do that through the site administration page. So if I go in here and I go to grouping and I go to site, for any given location, I can control what subnets will be scanned. And OmniCenter is going to try to learn these subnets from the devices that it finds. So if it finds a device, it's going to look for the connected routes on that device. It's going to add them into auto discovery and attempt to scan those devices. If I turn auto scan off for a particular subnet and save it, it'll remove that scan from the list of eligible subnets to scan. However, it will not stop a scan already in progress for that subnet. So you may just have to wait for that to end before that's effective. But it will no longer initiate any new scans for those devices. So you can manually add subnets to sites if for some reason OmniCenter can't discover them. And that will allow us to scan additional subnets. So a question came in about how to start auto discovery now. And the answer is there is no way to kick off auto discovery immediately in OmniCenter because it's constantly running auto discovery. So when you go to the auto discover options in a brand new OmniCenter, it will actually launch a quick auto discover, and you can initiate that with the configuration wizard the first time. But once we have subnets in here, it's going to continually scan any enabled subnets as long as that's turned on. So it's just going to keep scanning them over and over again. And as soon as it finishes, it's going to start again as long as it's within the time frames you've defined for auto discovery. So auto discovery no longer really has a manual component. It now has to be, it's now just done completely automatically. When you first install OmniCenter, it prompts you to enter a sample subnet and it'll immediately scan that one. But as new devices are found and new subnets are added, it's just periodically going through and constantly rescanning them if auto discovery is enabled.